if you're feeling stuck, clothes aren't fitting well, you are having a hard time looking at yourself in pictures after going out with the girls, you have a favorite word and it's busy, you're feeling overwhelmed, but you want to get a good workout plan in, you want to eat healthier, you want to feel better, you want to feel vibrant and energized and want to wake up in the morning. My name is Caitlin Taylor. I'm a certified personal trainer, yoga instructor, and I help my clients get through this. I help them see the other side of the coin. I help you see possibilities. And I was having a conversation with one amazing client a few days ago, and I just thought, I want to share this with you because she's not the only one that's feeling this way. So, we're working on getting into just small habits so that when we're not training, she's still making progress in different ways in her life so that she still feels better and better about herself and builds that confidence. So, I have given her an assignment, and it's been over the past few weeks. I want you to get a notebook. And this is for her to, one, jot these habits down. We just have 2 to 3 each day that we want to also be able to see the consistency. So that's why I say get a notebook so that she can just see over time that maybe she wasn't getting all the boxes checked. And then now she's starting to see weeks later that she is. And then you know what that does? That builds self trust, that builds self confidence. So it's not always about how we're looking, but all of those factors go in with also how we're feeling about ourselves internally, not just how we're feeling about ourselves looking in the mirror, looking in pictures. And that's what I'm here for, to share the other side of the coin and to also show you, to show my clients that there are things that you can do to take your power back and little to no money. Okay. So, what I told her to do and what I'm telling you to do or offering is that she gets a notebook. The first thing I want her to do is on the first page, write her name so that we're just taking small steps because this particular client, it was getting a little challenging for I would check in and not hearing anything back when I'd say water check and then maybe there's a little thumbs up or something on the notification, but I never got to hear how much water she's having. And now she retired from her teaching job before, but she's also working a new full-time job. So she is busy. It's just part of our job to figure out how can we just take a fraction of the time that we think we don't have and pour into our cup. And it doesn't have to be these big ways. I'm here to show you, to show her that it's in small ways that we fill our cup. And now, right after she writes her name, I said, okay, I want you to write a little note to yourself. And maybe it's a letter, maybe it's just jotting down a couple notes, or just putting, this is how I feel now, the date, and then this is how I want to feel eventually. And the point of this is to check in with herself. I said, I want you to have a why and to understand it and to have something that you can check in with yourself on the days that it feels hard to do those habits. On maybe it's been 3 days in a row that we haven't done the habits and it's okay, why am I not doing it? And then I want to check back in with, well, why did I want to do it in the first place? So that's what that little note is for. So after she writes a little note to herself, our 3 habits each day are, you're going to write the date in that notebook. And now you can decide, maybe it's something that you do each day has its own page, or it's just after you finish each day, you have a line drawn and then you write the next day and move forward. So we'll say it's X, X, this is the date, okay? The 3 habits we have, and we're going to do check boxes because it's also just, we want to check back in and physically see, okay, we've done that, right? So that check box first are 3 stretches. And when she started training with me, she received a few videos to follow along and ideas of stretches, but it doesn't have to be those stretches. It can be anything. It's just the fact of, let's build the habit of just doing something with intention that's going to help our bodies and our minds. So 3 stretches, And then we say X amount of water. So say it's drinking 64 ounces of water each day. Maybe they were only drinking 16 ounces a day or 20, and we just want to say, okay, let's build, right? And then our third one is our WWW, what went well. And I just did a video about this recently, but we'll go through it. So part of with the hydration is we checked in with, okay, she's feeling tired a lot. What's happening? And I wanted to check in with how much water is she drinking and also how much caffeine is she getting in. We had our session about 9:45 in the morning. She had had maybe 8 ounces of water, right? And a cup of coffee already, and said, I'm already ready for my second cup of coffee, right? And some days that's understandable, right? But we want to start to see, well, what are we doing to contribute to how we're feeling, and how can we make the adjustment with love? And I said, instead of getting that second cup of coffee before you get it, I want you to make sure that you always have 32 ounces or a certain amount of water in before you reach for that extra cup of coffee, because a lot of times that fatigue isn't because we need the caffeine, it's because our body's saying we don't have part of our energy. It's not just food, but it's also that hydration and water. Then the next one we'll do is a what went well. So just to sum it up, you can listen more in the other video, is at the end of each day, check in with yourself and just writing down what are 3 things that went well and why they went well. The thing is that as you check in with yourself and do that, it helps build and boost your happiness factor, really. And in positive psychology, they say this helps boost your well being. So, this is mental, physical, and emotional of you. And so, over time, we start to see that as you are writing down what went well, you're getting to check back in. A part of your brain can't tell when you're thinking about a situation really entrenched in the, well, how did it feel? Why did it go well? This is the feeling of joy I had. This is what I saw in that present moment. You get to tap back into that and feel that joy. So, no matter the circumstance, or no matter where you are, maybe you weren't in a great mood right before you did this, what went well, and it'll just boost your mood at least a little bit, right? And then I noticed for myself that the next morning, each morning, I started to feel a little bit better. And some days when I didn't do the what went well, I was like, oh, in a little bit of a crappier mood. So it makes a difference. So I highly recommend just doing the notebook. And when we talked about, well, what would she say to herself? How does she write a little note? And I just said, well, how do you want to feel? She said, I can't feel 18 again, can I? And we laughed about it. But the thing is that this is so important, because I said that matters. It matters that you want to feel 18 again. And maybe you can't physically go back to 18 years old, but what were those feelings? So take maybe just a 5-minute timer when you have that coffee ritual with yourself in the morning. And you're also just checking in with yourself and writing a little note of, this is how I felt when I was 18. And then we go to those feelings. So maybe you felt way more energized. Maybe you felt way more hopeful about life. And then we see, how can we start to feel more of those feelings now? And so it's doing things like, even just a little bit of the energy. It's not doing anything crazy, but it's adding in that water. And your body feeling better and feeling more youthful is being able to have the ability to move without pain and do with your body what your brain is thinking. And that's why we do those stretches, to help us tap back in, build that mind body connection, and to help us feel better, because your body needs to feel like it's being taken care of. And over time, we start to have those pains, and especially shoulder issues when we're sleeping at night. A lot of times, because we're not building strength and we're not stretching it out, building that flexibility. And then maybe feeling more hopeful about the future is, we're exercising. We're going to be more into this by doing those daily stretches and doing strength training at least 2 to 3 times a week, because we also want to start to feel like we can conquer any challenges in life. That's mentally and physically. You want to be able to travel with your family and hike up those mountains and do it and not have them worry about you, right? So that's just an offering to you, and thank you for spending time with me. Let me know in the comments if you decide to do any of these. Maybe it's just picking one and checking them with yourself daily. Maybe you don't get the notebook yet and you just write it in your notes in your phone. And great. I'd love to hear back from you. Talk soon.